Thanks for staying with us on News Hub, and welcome to those conversations I talked about. One of them starts right now. If you watched earlier on, we had elder statesman Chief Bode George, a BOT member of the People's Democratic Party, not only discussing Nigeria, but also discussing the role of the opposition parties in ensuring that the country grows. He also spoke from the side of the fact that he belongs to the opposition party as we speak, because APC is in power in the country, and the fact that at some point you all just have to drop some of these to ensure that you work together for the government at the center to make the country grow and develop. We want to deepen this conversation this morning. Joining me in the studios live is our in-house analyst, Victor Ita. Thank you indeed for joining us on the show today.
So nice to be here. Quite unfortunate that Lagos happened this morning, and that you wake up hoping to be in the office in about 30 minutes, but you get to the office 45 minutes, if not 1 hour. So thank you.
Did you say 45 minutes, 1 hour, or 2.5 hours? Excuse me, hello? Maybe we should give the travel advisory to everyone using the mainland, if you're using the third mainland bridge, or even the Ojota access, all right, this morning. We'll get to the conversation in just a moment, because I'm sure you're asking, is this a conversation? No, but this will help anyone that's traveling. And big up to my colleague, Eno, for really giving me what Google could not give me this morning, so to speak. If you're coming, okay, you want to come to the island, the best route you should take for any Ikeja is to take the Mobility Bank Anthony Way and go straight to the Korodu Road. You can navigate through the, I don't know much of how areas go in Lagos. You take Yaba and take Oyinbo axis, or you can take, don't veer off that, just stay, don't go the ramp, go all the way down to Akpogbo area and then come down. You still encounter traffic, but it won't be as monstrous as what you have when you're moving through the terminal axis and the Ojota axis. The Ojota axis, this one we heard, there was an accident that involved 3 vehicles. 2 of them had been removed. 1 was about being removed, and that was why the entire traffic was blocked inwards Maryland today. So I hope that we'll be able to give something today. All right, so let's talk about the issue at hand, which is the role of political parties, especially opposition political parties in national development. That's what we want to take a look at this morning. Joining us virtually is policy and financial consultant Babatunde Erinjogunola. Babatunde, we thank you for joining us on News Hub.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Interestingly, I don't know if you have any political affiliation, but then if you want to take into consideration what you're seeing at the moment, is this the kind of opposition you're looking for in a democracy of your choice?
Oh, democracy of my choice. Thank you. That's a big way to start, really. I think our democracy is evolving, and we can't wish it out of our individual nature as a people and as a community. So what you see playing out in our larger political space, it's just a reflection of who we are as a people and our understanding of the current democratic experiment we are, working on, and hopefully it exhibits the level of education or enlightenment about political activities. So, but I think it's a journey. We're getting there.
Victor, let me come to you at the moment. Earlier on, there was an interview we had with the other statesman, Chief Bode George, where he said, look, let's set politics aside and support this administration. If it works for all of us. And many people are like, okay, where was he speaking from? He's a member of the People's Democratic Party and should be looking for loopholes and things that need to be fixed so that this administration can deliver the dividends of democracy to Nigerians. How do you respond to that?
Well, I would say that, Chief Bode George, of course, we know him. He's a member, not just a member, but he's a member of the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party. And making, some form of, that statement shows that there's some form of bromance going on between Chief himself and the person. Not romance, bromance. So now bromance is when you are partly in love with someone, and then the other part you are not so much in love with that person. So it is a bromance. It is when it's been solidified, then you call it a romance. So So that is what is ongoing, and you don't throw away the child with the bath water. That's what you cannot do. Of course, you know, Chief Body Judge is of the Southern extraction, and the president is of the Southern extraction as well. Though party, you know, is a party man, but the point is that politics is over. Now, what we are doing, leadership must happen across board. So you must be critic of the government, but you must not destroy the entire system. That is just what Chief Body Judge was saying in that his allusion. Yes.
All right. Are you a member of the... Okay, I'll come back to that in a moment. Mr. Babatunde, let's deepen this conversation. I mean, both of you have really laid to bear what you thought, I mean, primarily about the opposition political parties really living up to expectation. But moving forward, how do we as a nation, as a people, really view actions or inactions of main political, especially opposition parties in this dispensation? And I'm asking this one carefully. In terms of what's going on, the policy directions that the President Babatunde administration is moving forward, and how these are affecting the lives of Nigerians. What's your take on this, Babatunde?
Thank you. Opposition, they are a vital part of democratic progress. If without them, we would not optimize our political, activities or engagement. So that's why it's important to have a very formidable opposition who will deal with the interest of the with the global, what I say, common interest of the people at heart when they are doing their opposition, getting involved with the main party in terms of testing whatever they bring forward in terms of policy, strategy, and the general administration of the country. So political opposition is not just about personal interest. It is more about national interest. And what we've observed in the country so far is that with the situation we have, because Nigeria has a good history of opposition politics. If we go back to the 1950s, during the times of the Awolowo's, we saw how they challenged, and when I say challenge, they bring facts forward to engage with even the white imperialist government. And fast forward to the military era, we saw what played out with our very, activists who were there putting their lives on the line in the national interest. Interestingly, the current president equally was part of the last part of active opposition team we had. He played a role, he funded it, and now that they are in government, it seems the other opposition players or parties are not together. They don't understand a collective approach to opposing a ruling government. So the current government, coming with experience of opposition management before they got into government in 2015, appear to just be managing and manipulating the existing opposition stock we have. As we speak, PDP has 14 states. APC has 20 states. And we have APGA, we have NNPP, and we have Labour Party having one each. Together, they can form a formidable opposition to engage with the government constructively in public interest. But what we see is the big names in each of the parties, like Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, coming to talk, apparently just talking for himself. Then we have Peter Obi coming up from Labour Party, talking for himself. And APGA, we are not even seeing them doing anything. Maybe their own opposition engagement is through performance in their states, because that's another way to oppose. You oppose constructively. Since you are in the other party, you are doing well, and people can see that, and with that, they can make up their mind whether this is the way to go or the other way to go in the next election. But every action we are seeing today, I want our people to understand that they should take mental and serious note of them so that they can be input into our assessment of these parties in the next election. That is the whole essence of an opposition arrangement, our government.
All right, well, before I come to Victor, I know he wants to respond to that or react to it, whichever way it goes. Excuse me. You mentioned something. I like to write on those operative words, active opposition. You also mentioned the fact, because I was going to refer to the New Telegraph story this morning, where former Vice President and the presidential candidate of the PDP, the last general election, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, really is accusing the present administration of some certain things. I'd like for us to go there so that we can see what we're talking about this morning. It's actually the cover story, one of the papers today. Let's see. That's the Nigerian News Direct today. You are adopting sham subsidy regime to fund your 2027 ambition. That's accusing this President Bola Tinubu. In fact, he says that to the federal government. So when you say active opposition, are you referring to individuals like this, or are you also one of those who are worried that collectively no main political party in the opposition is standing forward as a political party? Individuals, yes, but not as political parties. Is that worrisome in any way?
It's very worrisome, because for any opposition to be successful in their primary purpose is for them to form good coalition of good thoughts, good ideas, providing alternative facts. I don't want to say alternative facts, providing facts to counter exactly whatever the elite government or those people in power are doing. And with that, it's part of educating the larger public as well. We can now compare what the government is doing to what the opposition is proposing or suggesting. Then we have informed position. We can say as electorate, because we are the real checks, electorate will be the real checks for parties like this, especially in the presidential system of government, where the party discipline is not as strong as in parliamentary system. So at the end of the game, at the end of the day, the buck stops with the people, the electorate. So what we need is information, quality one, to work with, and that can help us determine whether we are going to renew the mandate of the party in power, or we are just going to appoint new administrators, because we are their masters. They are working for us. The only thing is that we give them mandates that is contractual for 4 years. So I want our people to understand clearly that we are the masters of our political officers, and it shouldn't be the other way around. So we must do a performance review of them. Opposition helps us to do this well. And that is why individuals coming forward like the Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi and possibly any other person just coming out on their own without giving us a position from their party as a formidable institution to help us offer necessary alternative to whatever policy or strategy implementation that is coming from the the current, how do we call it, the ruling party. So this individual approach is just speaking to individual interest. It's not speaking to the common interest. And that common interest is what is important to us.
All right, Victor, let's come to you at the moment. I'm still writing on the operative words, active opposition. Say for, I understand corrected, maybe the spokesperson for the NNPP, who's always here on other media, organized outfits, so to speak, that's Ladipo Johnson. I'm not sure if we have, maybe even also, maybe Labour Party's spokesperson, so to speak, which we still are trying to know which faction to really listen to. Active opposition in the country, do you see it, or why do you think it's not really as vibrant as a lot of people would have wanted it to be?
It is zero. We have a president in this country, and the APC came into power by using and selling the APC. You saw Alhaji Lai Mohammed, he was everywhere, and then as he was moving, he moved with the APC, the name APC. But what you have now, and that was the reason why when it was time for an election, the immediate past president was elected, because the APC was everywhere. Nigerians had the APC by the person of of Lai Mohammed and other persons, leaders of the APC back then in 2013 and 2014. Now, if you even go to the United Kingdom, Labour Party just kicked out the Tories. Why? Because they're even from shadow ministers. You could hear their shadow ministers making noise about the policies of the Tory party. And that was the reason why, you see, it was easy for Labour Party to kick out the Tories party, who had the name Keir Starmer. So many people in Africa didn't know that name, but they had the Labour Party. Now, let's come back to Nigeria. If you go to the PDP, if Alhaji Atiku speaks 10 times, 7 times you hear his name, 3 times you hear PDP. If you go to the Labour Party, if the former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, speaks 10 times, you hear his name, his name, his name, his name. So now the opposition party is just a vehicle to actualize your ambition of being president or being governor or getting into leadership position. It is not a vehicle to discuss, to articulate ideas. So now, parties are supposed to be ideological based, but these days, individuals use the vehicle to sell themselves because they know, should they win or lose the election? If they lose the election, they will then have their name everywhere, and businesses and contracts will come to them because they are known. So the intention, it is intentional. It is these guys are being intentional in everything they do. They are selling themselves instead of selling the party.
But whose fault is that? I mean, Mr. Babatunde, I'd like for you to also join the conversation, and our viewers, please go on our social media handles. Know right now we're streaming live on YouTube, Silverbird N24. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok. Let's hear your views right now. Who's to blame? I mean, those times you're talking about, we had the spokespersons for political parties whose voices were as loud as you said on behalf of the political parties and for themselves. In other ways, also working for themselves. You want to imagine that is going on. So who's to blame? President Babatunde is not guarding them, is he?
It's the party. It's the party. When you create or design or formulate institutions that are bigger, individuals that are bigger than institutions, it becomes a problem. The political parties happens to be a political institution that is supposed to be upheld and lifted by the people. But what you see in Nigeria is the reverse, is the case. Now, people have their ambition. They use the vehicle of the political party during campaigns to sell their ambition. But once the campaign is over, they now use that vehicle to sell themselves. So our parties must be ideological based. Okay. If you fail to have ideology, individuals will hijack your system and use it for their own gain.
Victor, do we even have political parties where ideologies? That is one of the questions. About the same question to you. Who's to blame? The present administration has not stopped anybody or any political parties from really coming at it. Coming for its juggle at, criticizing whatever it is. In fact, one of the papers this morning, the president says, the presidency says, you're free to make your voices heard. That's why we're here. So some will say he's not to blame. What do you think is holding back the main opposition parties in the country from really gathering momentum and forging ahead with their thoughts with regards to this administration?
Well, I think there are a number of factors. The number one factor is the level of awareness of the voting public that they engage with, and I think there is a deliberate effort not to improve the level of information that is valuable for people to use to determine the quality of party participation or policy or opposition activities. To just test that people have the responsibility at the end of the day. My position has always been that a Nigerian must know his or her worth, especially when you are of 18 plus. You are the owner of Nigeria. Nobody in this country is richer than you democratically and politically. They always convince or confuse you to put you together and get your mandate, and they will use your mandate to be serving their interest. Nigerians must understand that they are the masters of all our political office holders, and we are the real check on them. And we must not be in a rush. If we have made mistakes of putting some people in power at the local, at the state, or at the national level, it's not the end of the world. We will continue to talk with them because the press is playing a major role, all of the platforms like this, to keep engaging them, calling them to attention. Whatever you told us you're going to do during the campaign with your manifesto, we will keep talking about it so that you get us exactly what you said you will do, if that is what we can get at the minimum. But beyond that is what the opposition party or formidable opposition put together as an alternative for us. And we can begin to consider that. As a people, we must equally not continue to subscribe to cheap democratic process. We must pay our way to have a quality government. Let me give you an example.
But today we have to go in the next 20 seconds. Please go ahead.
I went to a political party office during the campaign, and I said I wanted to contribute. And they were shocked because they never see anybody coming around to say they want to pay into the party. So people get into power and they use public money to fund politics. And with that, they dictate whatever happens. So our people must be ready to pay their 10 naira, 20 naira, and take ownership of the party structure. Nobody has a bigger stake than you. Take ownership of the party structure as a collective and build up from there. And you can get the government you want and the government you need and the government you deserve. That's, I think, is the critical opposition structure that we need to build on. If we continue to ride on this party structure or party opposition reliance, please, they are already having a deal at the National Assembly, sharing constituency project, and that is their common interest. It's not our own interest. So we must pay our way to having a quality government in this country.
I mean, your perspective is very, very, very good this morning. I'm trying to get the best word to express that. Babatunde Erinjogunola is a policy and financial consultant. We thank you indeed for being part of News Hub today. We'll surely bring you back. There's still a lot we have to talk about regards to the political landscape of the country and how we can make use of it to better the lots of the people. Thank you indeed, Babatunde.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, Victor Itawu, thank you also for joining us on the show. It's always good to get your own side and your own unique way of really expressing what's going on in the country. We thank you indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, since the verdict came from the Supreme Court with regards to the fact that local government autonomy is now the law in the land, we've seen states who were before now had been running their local government affairs via, all kinds of caretaker committees, some administrators running to the polls. We want to take a look at this and its impact on development and growth in the country after this break. Just stay with us.